Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to do a contemporary Texas style landscape. And I've never really heard those combinations put together before, but I thought it was a unique and fun, just thought it'd be kind of cool. So this is what a customer wanted, a couple of clients wanted, and they're kind of in the what I would call downtown. I'm a suburbanite, so I'm way out in the outskirts of Houston, so these people are very close to the downtown area, and they are dealing with some size, area constraints and everything like that. So let's go through it. Let's get started. So on this particular episode, this part, we're going to be working only on the front yard and the design layout. There will be following episodes going over the planting in the front yard and then working on the backyard as well too. So I'm placing a couple of cars in the front yard to show you, or for me mainly, just to get a size and space perspective to see what I need to work with. So these clients are on a busy street and they had two options. One was to consider a circular driveway in the front yard that would take up almost their entire front yard, or this angular parking here off of the right off the driveway. They thought it'd be really unique and fun and just something different. So here I'm designing going up to the front door there. There's the front door, front porch landing area, and keeping more straight lines to keep it the contemporary, but to soften it up a little bit with some radiuses in there. So contemporary doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be all straight lines, but you want to make sure that everything's pretty clean. You definitely don't have to do lots of ins and outs. Keep your lines and your strokes a little bit larger, I guess you would say. Let's see here, I'm doing a little bit of tweaking with the house, getting this. Let me fast forward this even further here. This is 2x speed, by the way. Just to break it down, that's also why I broke down the design into four parts, because this took me a little over an hour to design this project and didn't think you guys would want to sit here through an entire hour episode. So kind of breaking this up, this front walkway driveway area with a little bed up there. Let's see here, I thought instead of keeping this little section of concrete, want to make sure we would just cut that out, because that little section wouldn't last. So it'd be worth it to get somebody in there to properly cut that a nice straight line, and that would allow for a new thing. And I want to make sure too here that I put a little tape measure to this. That way I'm keeping with a minimum of 4 feet. It ended up being right at 4.6, which is good. You definitely don't want to get too tight on these areas. 4 feet would be as narrow as I would go down, especially going from such a wide area to this little funnel area here. So there's a pinch point. So in a little nice landing area over here on the side, this allows people so they don't feel crammed. Let's say that you don't necessarily want to welcome them straight into your house. You want to go out there and talk to them. This really makes people feel welcome in this area. Going through here and doing another one of my gravel borders around the house, just because we're in Houston and it rains a lot. I recommend anytime you can to keep the gravels away from the foundation. This area here, so this is the area, this is the edge of the house. I want to extend this all the way to the edge of where my bed would be. If you notice, this actually lines up. I'm kind of predicting that my bed along this side here would just mash straight along with the AC foundation. I don't want to go any further than that. As you notice, we only have another foot until the border of the property, and I don't want to be dumping all this water directly onto the neighbor's property. I want to make sure I allow it to follow down the property line if at all possible. Always make sure that if you do this, that you have ways for your water to get out. Very, very crucial. You don't want to trap the water along the foundation. You want to make sure it slopes and slopes out. Very important. Design is as much about functionality and how it actually works, along with the idea of it looking beautiful as well too. That's why people hire professionals to do, is finding that unique combination, not so it's functional, but it's functional and beautiful. Let's see here. Now I just finished working on all that. Now I can start laying out the beds. And I'm going to be doing a stacked stone border on this landscape border edge. It'll be raised up approximately 6 inches or so. around the above the elevation of the existing turf or patio space, walkway space. So that adds just an additional look, allows you to raise the beds up a little bit higher. It's just a nice, attractive look, and it's not too expensive. So compared to actually mortaring in a stone wall or even doing paver stone walls. So just kind of tying it up in here. I don't want the beds to be too large, but with how large the driveway is, I need to make sure that it's in balance with everything else. I have a good ratio of bed and patio space, and then along with the yard. Making sure that a landscape isn't overwhelming maintenance wise is very crucial for homeowners, because this is still a decent sized bed in here. This is not a large front yard, so it's not overwhelming, but the problem is if you design it too big, no matter how much they think they might want it, if they don't have a personal gardener on hand, or if they aren't willing to spend the ongoing money maintenance year round, then all you're doing is you're going to drive back by in 6 months to a year later and your project is going to look terrible. So finding that good balance is very, very important. So just kind of going through here and tweaking my shapes a little bit, making sure that everything's in balance, and then I'll be going through and let's see here, what am I working on right now? Okay, yeah, so the other thing the homeowners wanted was safety is a concern. They're in an area, it's not necessarily bad, but it's definitely not great either. So a safe area for them to park their cars or for their kids to play is also what they really requested. They currently have a gate all the way at the back of their house because their garage, actually, you pull around the property to get to where the garage is. The garage is in the backyard. So they wanted to move the gate up. I thought it was a great idea. The problem with where the gate is at, though, is that it really puts a time constraint. Exactly how are your gates going to open? I mean, they can't open and slide into the neighbor's property. So you have to make sure that you're planning all that out. It's very important. And when space is limited like this right here, you've really got to think through it and make sure that everything will actually operate. And then they wanted a little side passenger, a little pedestrian gate to walk through this area here, and I thought that was also a great idea. So that's what this sidewalk was right here. It was kind of a unique design challenge though, and trying to accommodate all of this instead of just necessarily putting the gate right on the house, pulling it out. But it would be great to have that to where they have a couple little kids, the kids can come in and out to the front door and not have to open this up. It wears out the motors much faster if they're having to open and close every time the kids want to go to the front yard. So now I'm just going to be kind of going through selecting my materials. I thought pavers, that's what we do. We love pavers, their functionality, their flexibility, versus concrete. Concrete is pretty boring. You can definitely step it up with pattern concrete and things like that, but especially in Houston you definitely have issues with cracking foundations. So if you notice over here, this bed, it's all gravel. Because it's such a small bed and there's a good chance that somebody might run over it, I didn't do a raised stack stone bed border on that one there. I wanted the ability to, if they had a bad driver, which most people definitely have, welcome into their driveway, for them to be able to drive over it. I'm going to put plants in there that can take a beating, some grasses or something like that, to where if somebody does run over it, they don't feel absolutely terrible because it'll bounce right back. But you can see this is what I was referring to with this stack stone border. There are limitations to what I can do with this computer program. The top definitely is going to look like this, but so going on, I like to do Black Star gravel around the foundation of the house. It's beautiful, it functions well. So let's see here. Now I'm working on raising this border up because if you noticed, it was flat before. So I want to make sure that I told the computer that it was actually elevated 6 inches. So going through here, we can take a look at it again. Whoops. Take a look at it again in 3D there for a quick second. And now I'm going to be installing in the actual beds. If you notice, there was just grass there before. So now you can see the beds. We'll go back to 3D here in just a second, and then we can finish punching out the materials. Tweaking all the little details of the house is very important to make the homeowners feel like this is their house. So now you can see these areas are going to be mulch, this area along the house, this is for runoff. So they do not plan to put gutters in here. So want to make sure that this overhangs enough to where even during a bad rainstorm it's not going to hit these beds. And again, kind of same up in here in these areas. So you can see the design and the way it all came out. So enough area for parking for them to get out, walk around, and this is worst case scenario. 2 cars here, they can have 1 or 2 cars in the driveway, and they even have an area in the backyard because again, that's where their driveway goes to. Tune in for the next episode and I will show you how I planted this front yard to still try to give that unique Texas contemporary style landscape.